Welcome to The Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Action Network. I am Chad Millman, Chief Content Officer of the Action Network. Joining me today is my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Hello, Chad. How we doing, brother?
Let me tell you something.
Tell me.
We got a great email over the weekend from one of our listeners named Chloe, because we had Chris Long on the show and we talked about how you were not able to find a female companion. And we joked that all you have to do is say one of the reasons you can't is because you're a professional bettor, and that is kryptonite. Chloe wisely pointed out that not all women would avoid dating a guy who is a professional bettor. But at least there's a couple things. One, I want you to share the reasons why you think that. Two, when I introduce our guest, he will be the proof of what Chloe is saying, because he and his wife are a great pair as gamblers.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to hit you with a one. So one, I have no problems finding companions. That's not an issue. It's having someone to date long term is the issue. Shout out to Chloe. If she's in the New York, Philadelphia area, reach out to your boy. But yeah, if there's no issues getting the dates, it's like the problem is the third or fourth date, and there's just no easy way to bring it up, because it's not like I'm the dude on the couch like, yeah, don't worry, I'm only betting $10 a game. And the story I told you was I had this girl I really liked, but she was, I mean, the best way to describe it, she was very straight. Like she's not stiff, but kind of a stiff personality. Like probably didn't smoke a cigarette until she was like 23. And it was when she was blacked out drunk. Like just a good girl. So she comes over, she hits up on a Sunday. The Eagles already played. So she's like, I come over. I go, yeah, no problem. Like, come over. I'm just watching football. And she comes over and I'm watching the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. And I'm going ape shit about this fumble. And she goes, why do you care? The Eagles won. This is the Browns. I go, what? Casual, not even think. I go, well, I have 100K on the Browns here. She just turned all white, Chad. And literally, before I can explain myself, she was already out the door, number blocked. And so that's what was my whole point. I have no problem finding these dates. It's just getting them to stay around when they know what I do. Because if you don't know the whole story, if I'm on a date with a girl, she's telling me she's got 100K on the Browns, I'm leaving too. I think she's an idiot. I'm like, why do you got that kind of money on the Browns? So no fault to her. I see where she's coming from. But yes, please, Chad, hit me with your story. You know I love a good Chad Millman story.
My story is the opposite, which is you just need to marry someone who is so uninterested in what you do, so unimpressed. You could literally record a podcast in an office you are sharing with her at the time, and she will still not know you have a podcast, what you do for a living, what betting is, or how it is we're paying for our lifestyle.
True love.
Just doesn't care at all. However, our guest today, one of our favorite guests, a regular contributor to the favorites.
Yeah, like Evan, you know, Tito and Matt Mitchell, they're our brothers on this show. This is our other brother, right?
It's our other brother. It's
Give us
our
a
other
little-
brother. It's our other betting brother. We're talking about our director of research, Evan Abrams. He will deliver us his top 10 NFL, I want to say week one trends, but that feels too narrow. Like this is really about NFL betting trends that we can apply to week one, but things to think about. Welcome to the show, Evan, who actually has a great love story.
Yeah, so I got a lot to say about this. I'm going to keep it to I'm going to keep it to like a minute or so here, but I do have a wife. We got married 2 years ago in Costa Rica. That should say enough in itself. But the fact is she loves to gamble, but you had to slow roll it, guys. Like first date, I work in sports. Second date, I enjoy finance. You gotta work your way up to
True.
what possibly could be. And then Simon, I mean, 100K could have been $100, and then a week later could have slow rolled potentially what is happening behind the curtain. Yeah, I know. So there's ways to potentially figure it out, but it is definitely taboo. But legalization's helped. A lot of things have helped throughout the years, especially, hey, listen, I've got a job. I've worked for ESPN in the past. There's certain pillars maybe you try to stand on when you get the eyebrow, right? It's all good, but it's pure love here. I mean, listen, now we get to talk about whatever. She loves tennis betting, especially women's tennis. So we went to French Open. There's lots of positives here.
Evan,
Yeah,
finance.
finance. You got to
Finance.
slow roll it.
When did you ultimately reveal that you were someone who loved betting so much you moved to Vegas after college and eventually came to work for me for free as a gambling researcher when I had a column at ESPN?
It made it easy because I believe like in date 2, she brought it up first. As we were starting, she was like, "Oh, I love Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas a ton of times." And I'm like, "Okay, here's
And
your
Evan just said to
door.
himself, "This is the one."
This is it. Like I'm never leaving this table." So
Yeah.
great. The great thing was the fact that she brought it up. If she hadn't gone down that path, it probably would have been the same as all the others. To be
And
honest.
then you brought out your folder of gold sheets
Yeah.
from 1975 so you can review all the odds that you are memorizing so you can do research for week 1.
Correct. She's like, "Why are you watching cricket?" We've had lots of conversations since then, so it's all right.
You're watching cricket because it's a pretty great
Yeah.
sport,
Great
especially
American sport, we should say.
Great
Yeah.
American sport
It is
to
now.
bet on. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Also, catch every episode of The Favorites live on YouTube. For those enjoying on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Okay. We got a whole host of topics that we want to get through. Evan, I might just throw some out at you in various order. Matt Mitchell has ordered them in the script. I don't want to go that way.
Perfect.
First thing I want to talk about. Week 1, Super Bowl hangover, because I do believe we've got some pretty crazy expectations for the San Francisco 49ers in week 1. Set the scene. When are they playing? Who are they playing? What is the line? How should we approach a potential hangover?
Yeah, so this one's pretty easy. San Francisco is now -5.5. Monday Night Football against the Jets. I know, Jets Monday Night Football again. Can't believe they did that to them. But the thing is, it's already moving. So this was one of the few lines that's already had a little bit of a tweak. It opened at 6, now down to 5.5. So Jets getting a little bit of love here. And maybe the hangover is a storyline for some people. So since 2000, fading the Super Bowl loser in week 1 has been just a great bet. It is 10-14 straight up. And I'll talk about that in a second. The straight up angle, it's usually the line that's kind of tweaking. And so the 10-14 straight up, 5-19 against the spread dating back to 2000. Now, when they're favored over a field goal, 9-4 straight up, 4-9 against the spread. So it's usually a tight win. Now, last year, Super Bowl loser, actually came through and covered and won. But if you remember,
you're on the other side of that one. I remember, right, Chad? I think we lost on what, a 2-pointer, Evan? Is that what we lost?
I was gonna say it was very close. It was a tight up into the end. Eagles really played down to the Patriots in that game, but ended up covering in the end. But it's been pretty interesting throughout the years. Last 7 years, 5-2 straight up, but it's like 2-5 against the spread. Again, it's usually about a field goal game.
Simon, this is one game. I thought we'd make it our big balls bet of the week on the Jets. You didn't want to go there. You didn't want to go there because you love the Niners. You got the Niners as your best power rated team.
And it's but it's brutal too because people know like I love the Jets. Like it's like talking out both sides of my mouth, but it's again like the Jets lose that one and they win 5 straight. Just feels like that's how it's going to break. But I know these trends, and Evan knows I love fading this spot, and that's what's so brutal is I keep feeling like the 49ers are the unicorn team, right? They didn't lose a bunch of coaches. They didn't lose a bunch of players. I mean, they were paying their quarterback $900K. I mean, talk about craziness. I saw who was it? Was the guy Riddick, whoever it was for the Jets or whoever it was, someone
Done
missed
ready.
mandatory mini camp. They forfeited $700K of their salary. So they literally forfeited what Purdy's going to make pretty much for the season. So I'm right there with Evan. Like last year, I thought we made a great bet, and it's a sick bet too, where we covered the Patriots because me and you got it at 5.5, 6
Yeah.
in June. And then obviously by game day, I think it was 3.5, which we played like idiots in contests because we loved the number. And we lost by the hook, right? We lost on the 2-pointer. So with all these trends, like Evan's talking about here, people, I do think if you do love betting these trends, you have to stick to it. And me, I just use it as another tool. So it's like I'm not dug in. But if you are worried about taking the 49ers, don't take it then. Like this is another reason. Evan's kind of giving you another reason not to take them. And if you want to back the Jets, this is another great reason to be like, well, it gives you more confidence to bet the Jets because historically you're playing a good number. Which again, I just want people to reiterate with trends here. Evan says it all the time. It's not the end all be all for him either. It's just another tool in the arsenal to use.
Tread lightly.
You mentioned
Yeah.
that Eagles Patriots game. We freaking loved the Patriots in that
Loved
game.
them.
We loved the Jets in week 1 against the Bills. And here's a very specific scene I remember. First Monday of the NFL season. I had to go meet someone for lunch in Stamford, Connecticut, which is about 90 minutes from my house in West Hartford.
Stamford, Connecticut.
I'm feeling so sick to my stomach the whole day because we went 1-3 to start the weekend. And our worst loss was that Patriots loss, which was gut-wrenching, heartbreaking. You look back and you're like, oh my God. And I remember on the way back from lunch that day, I was listening to Evan and Gilles Gallant in the Monday episode of the Action Network podcast. And like, Evan had so many great thoughts on how to bet Monday night. Brandon Anderson was on. He was talking about early leans for week 2 already. And I almost had to pull over to the side of the 95 highway, like Interstate 95, because I could not fathom what the night was going to be like where we desperately needed the Jets to go 2-3 in the contest.
And little did you know, it all hinged on Zach Wilson.
What a night.
Zach Wilson,
What a night, indeed.
the moment of his life. But it also was like one of those things where you look back, and we did this heading into week 2, and we will do this again throughout the year. You look at the whole record and you're like, wow, that was a real kick in the dick. But if you look at it like individually, game by game, a tweak here, a line here, a penalty here.
Yeah, bounce here and there, brother.
It's like you actually weren't that far off, and it gives you a little bit of a handrail on the roller coaster to get on with your life. You know? All right. Another team we love this year, Evan, Indianapolis Colts. Shane Steichen, to me, really proving himself to be one of the best young coaches in the NFL. What he did with Gardner Minshew and the Colts and putting them in sort of contention the way they were after Anthony Richardson went down. That was, to me, all Shane Steichen. Anthony Richardson is back. He's throwing fine. He'll be playing for the Colts. We were really excited about him. Colts opening season woes. Should we be wary?
First of all, this is one of the 2 games where the lines moved a full point already. It was Indy 1.5. Now it's 2.5. So Houston, not only their line has gotten crazy, they're like down to 12-1 to win the Super Bowl after all the additions, but the week 1 line is already rolling. So Houston minus 2.5 in Indy. Now, this one's gone through multiple quarterbacks, multiple coaches. This just seems to be a franchise trend that continues to hit. So since 2008, the Colts are 2-13-1 straight up, 1-14-1 against the spread in week 1, including 0-6 against the spread when they face an AFC South opponent, which they are here. The fun one, in the last 20 years, only Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning have won or covered a week 1 game for Indy. So it's basically been all the characters through the door. No one's been able to start the season on a positive note. I thought a funny question for you guys might have been, can you start naming any other week 1 Colts starting quarterbacks other than those two? Because it has been a litany of different people.
Give me a clue.
So Anthony Richardson's one, since he did it already. You got Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz,
Oh my God.
Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Scott Tolzien, and Kerry Collins are all the quarterbacks that have lost for the Colts that they've basically picked up off the grave, so to say, to bring into their organization to try to start them up later in their careers. And it's been terrible. Now, Anthony Richardson, completely different story. Even though we did see him last year, after that, he progressed very well until his injury. So we'll see. Home dog in that situation. Now, the one thing I will say, which is an interesting thing, Indy is 6-1 against the spread in week 2 last 7 years. So this has worked absolutely perfectly in the sense that they've started crappy and they've bounced back, and it's almost happened every single year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I just want to say the line movement could be based off Anthony Richardson. Apparently, he's resting right now, right? He's not throwing completely. People are a little worried that that shoulder is not fully healed. So a lot of pros I've talked to, they just went right away as soon as they saw that he was working on throwing lefty because he didn't want to throw righty that day because there was a rest day. I know some guys who just took a position on the other side because just like, dude, this dude, he might not just be right ever again. Like that's kind of thing where you kind of have that shoulder injury and guys don't come back right from it. So I get the hesitation. I'm not worried about it. I don't think Chad is either. If this gets to 3, we already liked it. We'll go down with the ship, but that's another thing to remember, Chad. We won't get pissed at Anthony Richardson if we do not cover. We gotta ride that second trend, right? Take him next week if we.
Yeah,
if we
look, I betted it 1.5.
Me as well.
If it gets to 3, that's a contest play.
Yeah,
for
no brainer.
sure.
Even 2.5, it's like that's what feels like a great number.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but like think about that graveyard of quarterbacks: Matt Ryan,
Right.
Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers. Like,
And our view on Frank Wright, I mean, come on, like we don't have the highest praise of that guy either. Seeing what he did with that Carolina team and how underprepared they were.
we definitely feel better about Shane Steichen. 100%.
I agree. I like Indy in this game. I think it's going to go up. And who's the backup? Flacco? So, I mean, if Richardson can't go,
Right.
don't worry. He'll cover for us.
Yeah.
Battered Flacco.
Chad knows we love Flacco as a dog and we fade as a favorite. Simple as that.
That's so true, by the way.
It's so true.
So true. Speaking of favorite, the losing favorite bounce back. I don't know what this means, Evan. I want you to explain it, because how can there be a losing favorite bouncing back in week 1?
So again, this was the one topic. It's not a week 1er. Everything else is going to be week 1. This is something that probably something you should watch out for early in the season, but B, all of these 10 or 11 things we talk about, I'll be writing about early in the year. I'll be tweeting about it. We'll talk about it on the podcast. So you're not going to miss any of these spots that we talk about, but this one is a bit of a look ahead spot. So early in the season, we're talking first 6 weeks, teams coming off a loss as a favorite are simply 55% against the spread in their next game. Blanket, no questions asked. And that's a 7% ROI over the last 20 years. Pretty much hits every single year 500 ATS or better. But what I think the right way to look at it is these favorites losing by double digits. That goes to 57% against the spread and almost 12% ROI. So that is something early in the year I'll be looking for. Just these odd situations where teams don't have it together. Favorites lose by a large margin. They end up coming back the next week. So something I'll be talking about, but it's a bit of a look ahead, a spot circle, let's call it.
Well, look, my favorite thing last year were your week 1 and 2 trends, like the notes we could gather from week 1 to week 2. Could it be the Texans, when they don't cover against the Colts, bouncing back and being a team we love in the contest in week 2? By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. I just noticed this in the chat from Tito. I don't know if this is a true story. On his 3rd date with his now wife, I imagine, he said to her, whether or not I can pay this dinner bill depends on the Dolphins covering a 6-point spread.
What a modern love story.
Matt Mitchell says no way he went on multiple third dates in his life, so this has to be with his wife. I'll report back if Tito finds the courage or the words to respond. But right now, it feels like Matt Mitchell has run him over. All right. This one's interesting. And Simon, if you want to jump in with any topic, feel free. I'll do the next one though.
Yeah.
Week 1 King.
Yeah, so this one's pretty simple. It starts with a trivia question that it's pretty much been the answer over the last 2 or 3 seasons, which is the most profitable week 1 NFL coach in the Action Labs database, which goes back 20 years. So which coach has been the best against the spread in week 1 over the last 2 decades? And he's been in that slot mostly the last few seasons. Does any guesses?
No. Give me a
Simon,
hint.
nothing?
Yeah, give me a hint.
Oh, he's been in this role for 10 plus years. So he's a tenured coach in the AFC.
Tomlin?
I was going to say.
Close.
Andy?
No. Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
So it's King Rest, we call him, John Harbaugh. Amazing. So we're going to talk about 2 numbers here. When he's got 10 or more days rest. Now, this is not week 1. This is simply Thursday to Monday, that type of week or bye during the regular season. 27-8 straight up, 13-2 against the spread. Just week 1, 12-4 against the spread. He's failed to cover just once in the last 8 years. Now you're getting him as a dog. You've got the full 3 against Kansas City. 3-2 as a dog in week 1 as well. That's straight up. So he's won those games. I mean, I'm always anti-Kansas City, and it's gotten me burned all over the place. So I'm into Baltimore here, especially if I can get maybe 3, maybe 3.5, but feels good.
All right, let's hit it, Chad.
Hold on. I got to follow up.
Follow up
For both of you. Do we think John Harbaugh is underrated as a coach?
Properly rated. And they have one of the best front offices in all of football, right?
I was going to say the same.
So I feel like properly rated. Like we all give him his flowers.
Yeah, but where do we rate him as a coach? Do we think he's top 5? He's not Andy Reid. Is he better than Dan Campbell? Is he better than Kyle Shanahan?
Not Shanahan, but like I would put him top 8 because he's just a great leader of men. It's like
top 8's not top 5. Like top 5, you're going.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him top 5 because I need the brains in there, like the McVays, the Shanahan, the Reeds, the guys that are really putting the shit together. That's why like Pittsburgh fans who shit on Tomlin constantly, it's like I get it. It's like what is this guy? What does he actually do? I feel the same way about Sirianni now, so I get where they're coming from.
But it does make it interesting, right? Because we've lost Belichick.
Yeah.
We've lost Vrabel, 2 guys that bettors have loved over the years as coaches. And I think a lot of people have always admired them generally as coaches. So maybe Harbaugh is top 5. Like if you're thinking about the NFL right now, think about Evan, don't shake your head at me. Thinking about top 5 right now, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Who else? Why isn't John Harbaugh on that list?
I think he is. I also I love a coach who does well with a backup. It proves he knows his system and he knows how to win and knows how to cover in that situation. And I believe Harbaugh's been pretty good in that spot when X quarterback comes in for Lamar when he gets hurt, or his late season sickness he tends to have the last few years. I love Harbaugh.
That's my pushback, Chad, is just the disappointment he's given me over the years of like, he just like that. I'll never move on from that team last year. Like, that was truly an out-of-body experience for that whole organization of just they were who they were and they came in there and shifted who they were for that one game. It was just bizarro world. So I do agree with you. Like I'm trying to think of the other guys I'd put ahead of him, and he's just been whole life. He's been a great coach, and
he's been a great coach. I actually feel like he's underrated.
No, it's fair.
He's not properly rated.
I do think he is though because he just keeps disappointing me, bro. That's what I'm saying. He has 1 ring.
You're not going to put McDermott in front of him. You're not going to put Mike McDaniels. You're not going to put Matt LaFleur. You're not going to put Zach Taylor. Stefanski. You're not going to put Kevin Stefanski in front of him.
No.
You know, we're not ready for D'Amico, Steichen, Doug Peterson. You can't anymore. Sean Payton, you can't anymore. I don't think you can.
Dude, we never, as an Eagles fan, Chad, I never had a Super Bowl brother. He broke the wheel.
What I'm saying is,
Now we're talking about underrated. Give Doug Peterson some flowers. Say
John,
something nice about Doug Peterson, Chad.
That's fair.
Doug Peterson, he was a great coach in
He made the
Philadelphia.
visor cool.
Doug Peterson was an amazing coach in Philadelphia.
Keep it moving. So, come on, I need to know Brazil, Chad. I need Brazil. Give me these Brazil trends. I'm dying here. I need to know.
Yeah, so NFL, Sao Paulo, Brazil,
Crazy.
Don't wear green. We've heard all this stuff.
Yeah, don't wear green.
We've heard a lot of this stuff. So let's just go into the Packers specifically because I honestly hadn't realized this myself when looking through the numbers. Now, Packers are a small dog in this game. And if you look at LaFleur career, 53, 37 against the spread in 5 seasons. He's the second most profitable coach behind the guy you literally hear all the time, which is Dan Campbell, who's breaking ATS records. But behind him is LaFleur, 16 games above 500, did a great job with Jordan Love. But now you talk about the underdog role. He's been in that 32 times. He's covered 22 of those 32 games by almost 4 points per game, so over a field goal. And then you say to yourself, okay, different roster early in the year. First 3 weeks of the regular season, LaFleur is actually 13-2 against the spread, regardless of the number. So to me, it just feels like an Eagles team that feels a mess, was a mess, goes into the year still a bit of a mess, and Green Bay on the ascension. Now, the number is pretty short, but it's an interesting look.
Yeah, I told Chad, Evan, I talked to bookmakers. Again, I'm in the Philadelphia area, but Atlantic City is a lot of Giants fans as well. It's all Eagles money, and that number has not moved. And that to me is terrifying. But it is June, so I'm going to relax a little bit because if this is September, me and Chad would have to go pretty heavy on Green Bay to be the God of honest truth. Like that's in, like Evan's just saying, our trends point to it. The books are pointing to it. Like you just week 1, you don't want to be going against the books usually. So didn't like the trend, Evan. I thought I was going to go a different way. You may be even more nervous as an Eagles fan. So damn it.
Sorry, I had to go anti-Philly.
Well, look, Matt LaFleur, I'd put him 6. I'd go Reed, Shanahan, McVay, Harbaugh, Tomlin, LaFleur. That's what I would do.
That's a solid list.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a really good list.
And the other Harbaugh brother might break that list this year. Like, see,
the other Harbaugh brother will fight his way into that top 5.
You can't ignore what he did with San Francisco either. Like if he has success in his first season, it all comes together as a little package.
Yeah.
It's a make or break year if you want to think of LaFleur as a top 5, top 10 coach, because if he can do it again with Jordan Love, year 2 post Rodgers, as he did at the second half of last year, that's impressive. Yeah. One of the coaches who we would generally want to include on this list because we think he's the best hang in the NFL, Sean Payton. When he went out on a limb, boys, he went out on a lonely, flimsy limb, reaching, the long arm of Sean Payton, reaching for Bo Nix. Evan?
Yeah, so what we've got
Bo
here.
Nix. Hold on, let me set it up. Why are you fucking interrupting me so much on this show?
You got long pauses today, Chad. I will say that. You do have long pauses today.
It's waves.
Dramatic. Bo Nix, Sleepless in Seattle?
All right, that was actually better than I thought it would be. So last year, this got trumped, but it's actually just worth bringing back. So the Seahawks got crushed at home last year. Week 1 Rams, 30-13. Really wasn't pretty. But looking at the whole as a franchise and kind of what ends up happening when these teams come in there early in the year, Seahawks have gone 8-0 straight up, 6-2 against the spread when opening the season at home, dating back to 2000. One step further, they're actually 30-6 straight up at home in their first 3 games of the regular season over the last 20 years. Just difficult to get into that building with the 12th man early in the year. Good preparation. Now, how much of that is Russ? How much of that is Carroll? How much of that is previous regime and preparation? Probably a decent amount. But I feel like the number, mixed with the fact that Denver started terrible at the beginning last year. I believe they lost at home twice in the first 2 weeks, which almost never happens for them at Mile High. So this is kind of a reverse. And as the Bo Nix, this could be Bo Nix back in the Pacific Northwest, starting for the Broncos. We're going to see if he can pull off the dog win.
Uh, bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm not buying. This is one of those. To me, this is one of those stupid stats. I'm ignoring
You know what's
because
funny? Go, go,
it's
go.
like because here's the thing, we do this all the time. Franchise history numbers in certain spots do not matter. It's like that's like the opposite of what you want to do. New coach, new offensive coordinator, same quarterback, new coach ish, new quarterback. Everything goes out the window in these scenarios. You might as well say, what is a new coach in his first game? What is a new rookie quarterback in his first game? Those are more indicative to me. I don't like it, Evan. I don't like it one fucking bit.
The best part about your reaction, this was the one I wanted to kick out. I had my 10. I was like, I'm Matt Mitchell. We're talking about our producer. I was like, this one's weak. And we wanted to stick to week one. I'm completely with you. We're gonna fade it. Seattle loses week one. I really do believe you, and I'm with you. It means absolutely nothing. And if anything, I think the public will end up catching on, wanting to take Seattle, and the line will get inflated. So
By
we're
the
on
way,
same page.
as soon as I said this was bullshit, Matt Mitchell wrote in the chat, feels like some Matt Mitchell slander coming this way.
Perfect. It was perfect. Well set up.
All right, can we get to it, Chad? This one we've both been dying for because we love road dogs.
Love it.
Give me the road dog trends.
Yeah, this one's simple. And to be honest, it's every single year we end up talking about it. These teams early in the year. And when I give you the hook, you're going to understand kind of why. So most gamblers know that week one road underdog has been a good bet. And that's true. They've got a small positive. It's like 2 or 3% overall blanket last 20 years. But where you really want to split it down, road underdogs who didn't make the playoffs the previous year. So motivation, difference of roster, and change up. 90, 59, and 5, over 60% in that spot week one last 20 years. So this year, we've got 10 teams right now who are week one road underdogs who didn't make the playoffs last season. So 6-4 is basically what you're looking at, hopefully to get kind of stay consistent. But a wild number that to me actually makes sense because as you get closer to week one, those week one road underdogs, no playoffs, usually facing a team probably did make the playoffs. You're just going to get inflated lines. And right before that closing line at kickoff, it's probably going up a point, a half a point in those few days, especially week one, which gets an enormous amount of action. So this one I really like.
I like it a lot too. Who are the 6 that are going to cover? Just so can you tell us right now?
We can work on. How about this? That's going to be our week one episode. I promise.
There you go.
It'd be great if we could know so we could put those in the contest. I feel like I might have over relied on that one in last year because I loved it so much. And we went 2 and 3 that week. I'm just saying.
It was definitely a reason because we knew that Raven stat. We were big Raven week one guys. We definitely rode that. We're like, Houston was 10-point dog on the road. We're like, come on, how do we not take that? And again, me and Chad, we're in the right place. I say it all the time. Our hearts were in the right place. Houston ended up being a great team, but man, that week one, that hurt against the Ravens.
It hurt so much. Rich man's game. I like that these have titles. And I almost feel like, Simon, we're playing Jeopardy host and we're just reading something random and Evan now has to answer the trivia question. Evan, the category is rich man's game.
Okay, so for $400, so the Lions. This is a very similar one to the Harbaugh stat, and it's something you bring back because honestly, it just keeps hitting. And with this guy, he ends up covering every week anyway. So most profitable week one quarterback, Jared Goff.
Yep.
And it's just been absolutely ridiculous because he's now 7-0 ATS in openers. He went 4-0 straight up in ATS with the Rams, but now 1-2 straight up, 3-0 ATS with the Lions. And obviously, you've got Detroit right now, Sunday Night Football. They're laying 3.5. Again, we see
against
Stafford,
McVay, though. That's why me and Chad are on McVay. I know it's the
Rams.
2 great trends.
The Rams ended up being our big balls bet of the week.
Because he didn't even say it. McVay is a great week one trend too. Like even last year, they covered for us week one. So that's I mean, that Campbell stat scares me, man, because me and Chad we're on the 3.5 already with the Rams, but luckily McVay plays pretty well, right? He coaches pretty
Yeah,
well week 1.
he does. I think he's either like second or third best on that list. To me, I hate zeros. So when you see Goff 7-0, it's always going to tell me people are going to pick up on it. People are going to roll with it, and it's probably
Right.
higher. So at 3.5, I'm probably just to stay away. Do you remember? I don't remember what the playoff game was. I didn't look that up, but I would guess it was probably similar or a little higher potentially. So either
The
way,
line for the playoff game was
yeah.
3.5,
Oh, there you go.
which again, never in doubt, right, Chad?
Yeah,
Never.
it's never. But I'm a
We
Rams
watched
guy.
that in the with all the fans, right? That was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bar.
we did. Simon, you want to tee up the next one?
I'm hoping, because Chad's a crazy man, went out of order. I'm hoping we haven't done this one yet. The Miami Heat.
Yeah, we haven't. This one is a fun one. Now week 1, but we'll talk about it in a second. So
I'm
it's
buying
hard
it week
to-
1, brother. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The Heat, man.
All right,
They put them, no shade, no
yeah,
shade.
yeah, here it's perfect. Two quotes.
Everyone
for it.
talks about it. That's my favorite thing in football. And they're, in Miami, they don't got shade in the other sideline. Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah, shocking. It's like the Broncos a mile high earlier in the year. But here, it's hard to win. It's hard to win in Miami early in the season. Teams struggle in Miami when the temperatures are high. Hasn't always been true when you look through history, but it actually has been true under the current regime, which we might take more of a weight in. So at home, temperatures 80 plus. Tua is 15-3 straight up. Mike McDaniel is 9-1 straight up. Also, many people have talked about this with that shade on the other sideline. It's the 1 p.m. game at home with Miami specifically. It's worked lately. So they are 42-23 straight up last decade in that 1 p.m. home slot. Outside that 1 p.m. window, they're just 8-7 straight up. So it does have a little bit of a back and forth there that you can compare. Now, let's look at Miami's schedule. So week 1, it's Jacksonville. I don't know how much I want to buy on Jacksonville being worried about the Heat on the other sideline, but week 2, Buffalo, week 4, Tennessee, those feel like maybe different spots depending on the humidity, the weather, the situation. Obviously, a lot going on here, but nonetheless, I was surprised by the 15-3 number and the 9-1 number with Tua and McDaniel. So,
Mike McDaniel, Doug Peterson. Who do you want coaching your team?
ooh,
I don't know. Mike McDaniels, come on.
I think it's Peterson, to be honest.
Wow,
I think he gets more. I think he gets more out of the roster. Like I think what Miami's got going on right now, like it kind of lives up to expectations. Well, I feel like every time Peterson enters a season, he exceeds. But I think this is a huge year there, so I might be wrong in a few months.
I'd rather have John Harbaugh than both of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Last one, Evan. Extra rest equals unders. I don't know what that can mean. It's a mysterious title.
Shocking. But I will have a hook at the end, which is fun. So last 3 years, NFL unders have just been going crazy. Overall, blanket, doesn't matter anything else. It's about 55%, almost 5% ROI. $100 bet has been up almost 4K just betting unders. It's been 20 plus games over 500 for unders all 3 seasons. So it really just hasn't even been close. But the one spot that I personally have focused on, and I think is going to continue hitting, is the fact that teams with rest entering games have been even more to the under. So since 2018, there have been 164 NFL games where both teams were on 8+ days rest. Monday Night Football, there's all sorts of different situations, including week 1, right? So those teams, 66% to 68% to the under, depending on the time frame. Just absolutely cashes every single year so far. Now, that is without week 1, but we care about week 1. Week 1, 32-17 to the under. It's the same number, 65%. So usually rest has been higher totals, bettors betting them up, and we've seen unders. And that's kind of the way it's been in the recent offensive NFL, let's call it.
Well, listen, both of you were preaching the unders last year, the prime time unders last year, all season long, right up until the moment where everybody felt the cat was out of the bag and the numbers were going to go in the other direction. And I think it worked out for everybody, if I do say so myself. Evan Abrams, director of research, one of our brothers here on the Favorites podcast. If we had to rank brothers, Simon,
Jesus
rank.
Christ.
Yeah, let's
Chad.
not rank brothers. That's not fair.
Oh my God.
Wait, well, how about you rank your kids? Let's do that first, and then we'll rank brothers.
Have fun. You know what? I
Uh,
I I love them both so little.
yeah.
It's really hard to say. Hard to say. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Simon and I will be back with our next episode of The Favorites on the Action Network YouTube page Tuesday. Mailbag episode at 11 a.m. Eastern. Until then, download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until next time, love you.